Right now, Prince Harry is packing his bags and leaving Montecito. This isn't just a visit back to the UK, it's an escape. An escape from the life he built and from a storm that's brewing on the horizon. You won't believe what's happening next and how fast it's all unraveling. Piers Morgan has just detonated a bombshell that's been years in the making, and the consequences of it, they're catastrophic. This isn't a simple scandal. It's a chain reaction that threatens everything. The royal family, their future, and the carefully crafted image they've spent millions trying to maintain. What if I told you that Meghan Markle, once a TV actress, was seen mingling with the most dangerous and powerful figures in the world? What if I told you the very circles where power, wealth, and corruption blurred into scandal are now closing in on Harry's California dream? You might think this is just gossip, but trust me, it's not. Right now, as we speak, Prince Harry is packing his bags and making a swift, calculated exit from Montecito. This isn't just a casual trip back to the UK, nor is it a genuine attempt to heal wounds or mend the rift with the royal family. This is an escape. The timing of his departure couldn't be worse, as it comes on the heels of explosive revelations from Piers Morgan, who has spent years gathering evidence. And now, the truth has finally come crashing down. These aren't innocent holiday photos or harmless party snapshots. What Piers Morgan has unearthed are images that go far beyond anything trivial. Photographs of Meghan Markle moving through the highest echelons of elite social circles. Circles that are directly tied to the dark and dangerous world once dominated by Jeffrey Epstein, with Ghislaine Maxwell as its puppet master. These are the same circles where power, wealth, and influence converged in ways that created chaos and destruction, leading to the public downfall of Prince Andrew. And now, those same forces are closing in on Harry's seemingly perfect California dream like a heat-seeking missile. Let that sink in for a moment. Harry has been walking a precarious line, and now the stakes are higher than ever. For years, Harry has been systematically dismantling his relationship with the British royal family. He publicly accused them of racism and cruelty during his infamous interview with Oprah, signing lucrative multi-million-dollar deals to expose the supposed toxicity and dysfunction within the royal system. He turned his back on royal protection, royal silence, and the immense power the family wielded. He told the world that he didn't need any of it, that he was perfectly content to live his life on his own terms, away from the royal spotlight. But now, with Piers Morgan unveiling photographic evidence that places Meghan in the exact kind of environments that set off alarm bells for federal investigations and sworn testimonies, Harry is scrambling to reverse course. He's rushing back across those bridges he spent years setting fire to. Because this time, it's not just a public relations nightmare. His very future depends on it. These photos aren't just random moments captured by paparazzi. They're receipts, evidence of a lifestyle that defies all logic and reason. Meghan, once a supporting actress on a modestly successful cable television show, living a life more befitting of a billionaire. She was flying internationally, attending exclusive events, and appearing on yachts in the same elite social circles where Ghislaine Maxwell once played the role of gatekeeper to the most powerful and dangerous people on Earth. Piers Morgan has been meticulously collecting these receipts for years, patiently waiting for the right moment to drop them. And now, with Montecito crumbling under the weight of these revelations, those moments have arrived. And the impact, devastating. And just when you think it can't get worse, it does. The woman who knows everyone's deepest secrets has just begun to speak out from the confines of her Florida prison cell. When someone who has loudly and publicly rejected institutional protection suddenly seeks it again, it's a surefire sign that fear has taken hold, fear of what might happen once the truth starts spilling out. And Ghislaine Maxwell, she's already started talking. Piers Morgan sat across from his interviewer, wearing his trademark smirk, the kind that suggests he's holding cards nobody else has seen, and released information that caused 57,000 complaints to flood into ITV. People were outraged, demanding his head for daring to challenge the Duchess of Sussex. But here's where it gets truly chilling. Meghan Markle, in an attempt to silence him, personally reached out to Piers Morgan's bosses behind the scenes. It wasn't through official channels or her PR team. This was a direct appeal, exerting pressure to shut down a journalist. Yet, as Piers pointed out with barely concealed satisfaction, he remains unscathed. He remains resolutely uncancelled. Why? Because the evidence he's been collecting is damning, absolutely devastating. The yacht photos do more than just place Meghan at these high society events. They show her in environments that actually matter. These aren't just lavish gatherings for the rich and famous. They're places where power brokers meet behind closed doors. We're talking about exclusive parties and high-profile events like the Soho House International openings. Gatherings that aren't just about celebrity spotting, but about access, influence, and creating networks that transcend traditional power structures. But Meghan wasn't just a guest at these events. She was something more. She was what insiders referred to as social filler. At first glance, that term might sound dismissive, but it's actually a functional role. Social fillers are the people who fill the seats, smooth over awkward silences, and make the room feel vibrant before the real power players arrive. They're the ones who make things feel alive and dynamic, even if they don't take center stage. It's a job that doesn't get the spotlight, but it grants something far more valuable: access to spaces where cameras don't go, where the power brokers discuss matters behind closed doors, and where paper trails are intentionally erased. Meghan was being flown internationally to play this role, and it's documented, not just once but repeatedly. Luxury accommodations, international flights, high-end yachts. This lifestyle was becoming more and more familiar, and yet it didn't add up. At the time, Meghan was a supporting actress on a cable television show. Comfortable, yes, but nowhere near the lifestyle she was leading. Piers Morgan connected the dots that many had noticed but dared not speak aloud. The lifestyle, the proximity to wealth, the endless social engagements, none of it matched the story she was selling. It raised questions, and though no one publicly accused her of crimes, they remembered. And memory, as it turns out, is patient. It waits for the right moment to reframe itself. Now, as Meghan stands beside a prince, wearing a title and waving from palace balconies, those memories from the past suddenly take on a new meaning. They no longer exist as fleeting observations. They've become significant, legally relevant. With Piers Morgan releasing photographic evidence and Ghislaine Maxwell beginning to name names from a Florida prison cell, those old memories aren't just interesting. They've become critical to understanding the truth. Ghislaine Maxwell, now serving 20 years in a federal prison, is no longer in a position of power. Her empire has crumbled, her influence shattered, and her future is now confined to concrete walls and razor wire. But this is precisely what makes her dangerous now. When people like Maxwell lose everything, when they no longer have leverage, when their allies have abandoned them, they start to talk. And talk she has. Not in whispers or vague hints, but with specific names, real names, people who once moved in the same circles as her and Jeffrey Epstein. The Soho House connection is where Meghan's world and Maxwell's world collided. Soho House wasn't just a chic private club for celebrities and creatives. Behind the scenes, it was an infrastructure, an access point between worlds that don't typically meet in the open. Hollywood mingled with finance, new money rubbed shoulders with old power, and people who craved attention crossed paths with those who preferred to remain hidden. Meghan was flown in, handpicked to be one of those faces, someone who would contribute to the social energy of the room. But now, with these revelations, it's clear. Meghan was more than just an actress on a TV show. She was strategically placed in environments where power, money, and influence collided, places where the elite gathered to make connections, make deals, and sometimes to bury their secrets. Meghan's lifestyle, marked by international flights, luxurious accommodations, and constant movement through exclusive and powerful circles, was well documented. On the surface, it appeared to be the life of someone who had reached the pinnacle of success. But here's the glaring issue. At the time, Meghan was a supporting actress on a cable TV show. Sure, she had a comfortable income, but nowhere near the kind that could justify the lavish lifestyle she was leading. jet-setting across continents, attending high-profile events, mingling with the world's wealthiest elites, and sailing on yachts in the same social ecosystem that Ghislaine Maxwell once controlled. None of this added up with the story she was presenting. This was a woman who had come from humble beginnings, and yet here she was, moving in circles that screamed opulence and excess. Something didn't fit. Something didn't make sense. But it wasn't just the lifestyle that raised eyebrows. It was the access, the proximity to men of power, men whose names were whispered in the most exclusive rooms of the world, the connections that could open doors to unimaginable weal. Power and influence. Piers Morgan, ever the sharp observer, was the one who noticed the inconsistencies that others were hesitant to voice. The dots that everyone else had seen but never dared to connect. The sudden transition from a modest television career to a lifestyle of luxury and privilege. The yacht parties, the globetrotting, the exclusive events, all of it pointed to something deeper. A lifestyle not earned, but bought and paid for by connections and influence that weren't readily available to someone in Meghan's position. And though no one accused her of committing crimes outright, the observations were there. Quietly, they piled up, a stack of unspoken questions. Something didn't quite add up, and that lingering feeling couldn't be shaken. Years later, as Meghan stands beside Prince Harry, wearing a royal title and waving from the grand palaces of the monarchy, those long-held observations suddenly gain an entirely new context. What once seemed like idle gossip or baseless speculation now appears strikingly prescient. The memories of those who had quietly watched her rise, those who had noticed the contradictions, now feel almost prophetic. They don't just fade into the past, they reframe themselves in a different light. They no longer sit as idle musings. They are now a pivotal part of a much larger story. And now, with Piers Morgan revealing photographic evidence, images that capture Meghan at the heart of the very elite circles that trigger federal investigations, and with Ghislaine Maxwell starting to name names from her prison cell, the things once whispered in back rooms are now taking center stage. The memories, once dismissed, are now more than just idle chatter. They have become legally relevant. Ghislaine Maxwell, who is now serving a 20-year sentence in a Florida federal prison, once lived a life of unimaginable power. Her empire, one that connected the wealthiest, most powerful people in the world, has crumbled. Her influence, once vast, is now reduced to nothing more than a series of prison walls and razor wire. But this is precisely what makes her dangerous now. People who lose everything, people who have no more leverage, no more allies, are often the most dangerous because they have nothing left to lose. And according to multiple sources, Ghislaine Maxwell has begun to talk. She's not speaking in cryptic whispers or vague allusions. She's naming names, real names. Names of those who once moved through the same elite social circles she and Jeffrey Epstein controlled with a chilling, iron grip. The Soho House connection in this context is pivotal. Soho House wasn't just a stylish private club where artists, creatives, and socialites mingled. It was much more than that. Behind the facade of exclusivity and chic ambience, Soho House acted as a conduit, a bridge between worlds that didn't typically meet in public. It was where Hollywood met high finance, where new money rubbed shoulders with old power. It was where the ambitious rubbed elbows with the powerful, and where the spotlight-hungry crossed paths with those who carefully avoided attention. It was a space for the powerful to make deals, exchange favors, and in some cases, bury their secrets. These were not random gatherings. They were meticulously curated events designed to bring together the right people, at the right time, in the right spaces. And Meghan was flown around the world to be one of those faces, one of the people who would help bring that energy to the room, to smooth over the edges and make everything feel effortless and inviting. But now, as the story unfolds, things are taking a much darker turn. During the civil case brought by Virginia Giuffre, the woman whose testimony destroyed Prince Andrew's reputation, Meghan Markle's name almost entered the courtroom, not as a defendant but as a potential witness. And this distinction is crucial. Witnesses aren't accused of crimes. They are people who might have seen something, heard something, or been present during key moments that later proved significant. Meghan's name came up for three reasons. First, she lived in the United States, making jurisdiction straightforward. Second, she was described as a close associate of Prince Andrew during a specific period, exactly the period when his ties to Jeffrey Epstein were under intense scrutiny. And third, she was known to have been part of the same social circles where Epstein's abuse was actively taking place. For a time, it seemed like Meghan's name would be brought into the legal proceedings. Though ultimately she wasn't called to testify, the fact that her name was considered, and that investigators with subpoena power saw enough to warrant looking into her past, speaks volumes. The damage isn't in the fact that she wasn't called as a witness, but in the fact that investigators believed there was enough substance in her connection to Epstein's world to make it worth investigating. This, combined with Piers Morgan's carefully curated photographic evidence, places Meghan directly in those circles, at the heart of the same networks that were complicit in Epstein's abuse. This isn't just about photographs or hearsay anymore. This is about real names, real connections, and a history that's far more complicated than anyone could have imagined. Ultimately, Meghan wasn't called as a witness in the highly publicized case, but the real damage wasn't in the outcome. It was in the fact that investigators, armed with subpoena power, took a long, hard look at her history. This was a serious, deliberate investigation that shed light on things many had either ignored or dismissed before. The inquiries into her connections, her past associations, and the circles she moved in during those critical years were not taken lightly. Meghan's past, once a topic of whisper and speculation, has now become an undeniable point of interest. And this is where the narrative takes a darker, more terrifying turn. And now, with Ghislaine Maxwell speaking from her Florida prison cell, having been stripped of her influence and power, but still holding dangerous knowledge, and with Piers Morgan's yacht photos surfacing, placing Meghan directly within these elite, powerful, and often dangerous circles, things are beginning to look very different. The story that was once contained to the tabloids is now spilling into the public domain with undeniable weight, and it's becoming increasingly harder for Harry and Meghan to pretend that their actions and decisions have no consequences. As the yacht scandal detonates across media platforms, its shockwaves reach all the way to Montecito, where Harry and Meghan's seemingly peaceful and idyllic life is crumbling. What once seemed like a luxurious haven for the Sussexes has now turned into a battlefield. This isn't just one isolated problem. This is the catastrophic convergence of multiple, interwoven failures, all crashing down upon them at once. The stakes couldn't be higher. Wealthy neighbors who once accepted and even embraced the couple have now frozen them out completely. Social isolation has taken hold, with invitations to local events vanishing. Dinner parties that once included their names have quietly, but decisively, removed them from guest lists. Even the coffee shops and boutiques they once frequented in Montecito, which once represented their place in the local community, have become uncomfortable spaces where Meghan now feels like an outsider. She can no longer walk down the street and feel like she's part of that world. Now, she feels judged, scrutinized, and rejected by a community that once welcomed her. But if this wasn't already dire enough, Netflix, the streaming giant that had thrown more than $100 million at the couple, has now completely pulled the plug. The grand vision they had for a documentary, which was supposed to showcase their lives in an authentic and uplifting way, never materialized. Instead, what was meant to be an opportunity for storytelling turned into nothing more than a complaint festival that alienated viewers rather than engaging them. The promise of a new kind of royal narrative was lost in a sea of negativity, and the subsequent projects they undertook either flopped miserably or found themselves stuck in an unending cycle of delays and stalling. Industry insiders have made it painfully clear. Netflix is done giving them chances. The relationship has soured beyond repair. The numbers don't lie, and Harry and Meghan simply aren't delivering the kind of audience Netflix expected for such a monumental investment. What was supposed to be a mutually beneficial partnership has now become a financial and reputational liability for both sides. The promises made have unraveled, and in their place, The stark reality of unmet expectations is setting in. Meanwhile, the exodus from the Archwell team continues with staggering speed. 11 experienced professionals, many of whom were hired specifically to help build the Sussex empire, have now abandoned ship. One of the most significant departures was that of James Holt, the executive director who uprooted his entire family to help Harry and Meghan establish their philanthropic and media presence. Holt, once a close ally of the couple, lasted just long enough to realize that their vision was unsalvageable. His departure is a significant blow, but it doesn't end there. The head of public relations lasted only 7 months, a period so short that it screams of an intolerable work environment. In any industry, this kind of rapid turnover is a glaring red flag, signaling not only frustration but also dysfunction and instability. And these departures are all happening amid mounting financial pressure. Their $14 million Montecito mansion, which was supposed to represent the pinnacle of their post-royal life, is now a symbol of their unsustainable lifestyle. Security alone costs millions every year, and maintaining the lifestyle they've come to expect requires a constant influx of cash that simply isn't coming in as expected. The Sussexes are trapped in a cycle where the financial burden grows heavier by the day, while their ability to generate the necessary income to support that lifestyle is shrinking. Spotify, another major partnership, has already collapsed under the weight of unmet promises. An executive from the company was famously quoted calling them grifters on his way out the door, a public blow that further damaged their reputation. It's clear that their brand, their carefully constructed image, is now starting to disintegrate. Now, Meghan is reportedly researching potential escape routes, looking at Texas, perhaps Europe, or anywhere that offers a clean slate. She's desperate to flee Montecito, a place that once represented freedom, but now has become a symbol of rejection. Her community has turned its back on her. Netflix has abandoned her. The weight of their financial burdens is becoming unbearable. But here's the reality. No amount of geographic relocation can fix the core issue. The real problems, the ones that can't be outrun or ignored, are the ones that have been exposed. Piers Morgan's yacht photos continue to circulate, haunting them at every turn. Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony is an ongoing threat to their carefully curated image. As the questions surrounding Meghan's past continue to intensify, so too do the allegations. Piers Morgan's previous claims about Meghan's carefully constructed public image are now resurfacing with devastating new weight. People are starting to re-examine the inconsistencies in her pregnancy timeline, the sudden changes in her public appearances, and the mysterious promise of a home birth, which suddenly changed with no explanation. None of these things are adding up, and the once carefully crafted narrative is unraveling at an alarming pace. People, including the media and the public, are starting to ask hard questions that Harry and Meghan have never really answered. As all of this unravels, Harry is facing the terrifying reality that everything he has worked for could collapse in an instant. He has already watched what happened to Prince Andrew, the humiliation, the disgrace, the public destruction. But Andrew didn't lose everything because of rumors, gossip, or media speculation. He lost it all because of sworn testimony. Once those questions were asked under oath, everything he had built came crumbling down in a matter of moments. Harry knows that now. And now, just like his uncle, Harry is running back to the very institution he once publicly rejected. But this isn't about seeking forgiveness or mending family rifts anymore. This isn't about healing old wounds. This is about panic. This is about survival. Harry understands the stakes. Once federal investigators start asking questions, once subpoenas are issued, no amount of royal protocol, no carefully constructed public relations strategy, and no team of expensive lawyers will be able to protect him. The parallels between Andrew's situation and Harry's own are striking and terrifying. Both men have ties to Epstein's world. Both were in environments where powerful men operated with impunity and where boundaries were blurred. And now, Harry must confront a terrifying reality. If he knew about Meghan's past, if he knew about her ties to Epstein's circles and helped cover it up, then he is complicit in a cover-up. But if he didn't know, if he was blindly deceived into a marriage that was based on secrets, then he has walked right into a catastrophic disaster, one that threatens to destroy everything he's worked for. Either way, the fairy tale is over. The dream is collapsing, and Harry is now running back to the very institution he once denounced as toxic and cruel. The abandonment of Montecito is not just a strategic move, it's a brutal, calculated decision. Harry is blood royal. He is Charles's son, William's brother, Diana's child. The royal institution might still protect him because of his bloodline, his heritage. But Meghan, she's not blood royal. She's the American actress who came in, disrupted everything, caused years of chaos, and is now deeply connected through photographs and potential testimony to scandals the crown simply can't afford to acknowledge. As Harry flees back to the UK, it's clear that the reckoning isn't coming in the distant future. It's already here. The only question left is whether anyone, especially Harry and Meghan, can survive this disaster intact when Maxwell finishes talking and testimony begins. Once those words are spoken under oath, once the truth is out there, there is no turning back. No amount of running, no amount of geographical relocation, and no amount of institutional protection will be able to erase what has already been documented, photographed, and remembered. The public is watching, and the reckoning is already unfolding. If you're wondering how Harry will survive this storm, how Meghan can face the weight of these revelations, make sure you don't miss the next update. It's not just about running from paparazzi or fixing PR mistakes anymore. It's about survival. Click to subscribe and stay tuned as we follow this jaw-dropping story to its conclusion. You won't believe what happens next.